People of the United States, we are anonymous. I come to you today to discuss how badly your United States government failed you on the 4th of May 2015 and over the past 14 years. We will start with the Department of Justice examination of the Ferguson Police Department, city courts, and city government. The Department of Justice found that, number 1, the law enforcement and prosecution system of Ferguson focuses on profits, instead of enforcing the law. Number 2, the 67% of African Americans in Ferguson account for 93% of arrests made from 2012 to 2014. The 67% of African Americans in Ferguson account for 93% of arrests made from 2012 to 2014. Number 3, the 67% of African Americans in Ferguson account for 93% of arrests made from 2012 to 2014. Number 4, from October 2012 to October 2014, every time a person was arrested because he or she was resisting arrest, that person was black. Number 5, the police department often charged its black residents with petty crimes. African Americans accounted for 95% of the people charged with walking in the street and 92% of people charged with disturbing the peace. These are just several violations of the so-called protectors of the law in Ferguson, Missouri. Now, let us discuss the current Supreme Court debate on Obamacare. Before Obamacare, the average family paid about $4,000 a year on health insurance through employee benefits. However, not everybody works for a large capitalist corporation that will provide benefits. Now the Supreme Court claims that they are discussing the constitutionality of the Obamacare bill. However, anybody with common sense will understand that the reason people of political power, especially the Republicans, are against Obamacare is the simple fact that Obamacare will hurt the health insurance industry to, for once, help the American people. Of course they will never admit this. But the average American family who is not covered by an employer pay on average beyond $16,800 for insurance that they may or may not use. People of political power want to take this away for the simple fact that what it does is take money away from the major health insurance companies and for once, help the American working man. Our government would rather have an insured or underinsured people than take a small amount of money away from an already massive industry. This is the system they spent 12 years in the public education system teaching us to trust. This is the system that is supposedly for the people, by the people. We are pawns in a capitalist game of money. When will you wake up, America? When will you think? Think for yourself, not think what the government has tried so hard to teach you to think. You are the change. You, sitting at home listening to this right now. There will be no change without blood. No peaceful revolution. The time for change is upon us. It does not matter who you vote for, or what petition you sign online, or what party you represent. If you still believe in the system, you are nothing but another pawn. Next topic. The war on terror. American media and elected officials talk about the threat of terrorism almost daily. For a decade it was Al-Qaeda. Now it is the Islamic State, who is also being used by the mainstream media to continue portraying a bad image on all people who follow the religion of Islam, without mentioning the people of other religions who commit similar if not worse crimes. In the last decade, the threat of terrorism has been used to justify special exemptions from the Constitution, invasions of other countries, secret surveillance laws, monitoring of innocent people with no reasonable cause for suspicion, and continuous budget deficits, as vast sums of money go to fund the military and surveillance apparatus. However, when we look at the statistics, on average only 4.6 Americans die per year from domestic terrorism. What exactly is the need to record online data for all Americans if not the government's own personal benefit? In the past 20 years on average 162 people die from terrorism, compared to the on average nearly 700,000 that die from heart disease or the 17,000 that die simply from falling down. The number of lives lost to terrorism is simply minuscule compared to other causes of death. How much do we spend on terrorism? Since 9/11, the federal Homeland Security and Intelligence budget has increased by $65 billion per year. If local and state, private sector, and opportunity costs are included, the cost goes up to $132 billion per year. Additionally, U.S. military expenditures rose sharply every year from 2001 until 2010. resulting in the US military budget now being over $200 billion more per year than it was in 2001. In 2012 the government spent $30 billion more than China, Russia, the United Kingdom, Japan, France, Saudi Arabia, India, Germany, Italy, and Brazil, all 10 of which added up to a mere $652 billion compared to the United States' $682 billion. Since 9/11 the total cost of the war on terror has been over $3 trillion to save not even 0.5% of the population. On average the government spends over $400 million per terrorism prevention per victim, compared to cancer, which kills over 500,000 Americans a year. The total cost of every one of those people does not equal the cost to save one could-be victim of terror. Now back to the subject of Obamacare. Had the $275 billion in 9/11 anti-terror increase been spent on health insurance coverage, it would save 45,000 lives per year. But no. Keeping the American people terrified of outside threats is more important than 45,000 people a year, or 500,000 cancer victims. We had our First Amendment compromised to save 3,000 American lives. To prevent all car accident-involved deaths we would have to sacrifice all 10 amendments. 37,000 people on average die in road crashes each year. Road crashes cost around $230 billion a year. 30,000 more people are worth barely anything to the 162 a year saved by anti-terror efforts. Do you still think the war on terror is necessary? My fellow Americans, the time to take back our country must come soon, before all is lost. You can call me crazy, or paranoid, but look what happened to Germany in World War II. They trusted their system, they had faith in it, they ended up committing mass genocide. Governments are born to become corrupt, power corrupts. Our United States government has become a structure of corruption, from small-town law enforcement to Washington, D.C. When will you open your eyes? When will you fight for your human rights? But first you must learn to think freely. I hope one day to see you on the battlefield for freedom. Question all information when you receive it. You don't even have to trust me. You do not have to believe any of the statistics I have provided. I am simply empowering you to think, to find the facts for yourself, to do your own learning, form your own opinions, to think for yourself, and remember, you do not have to do anything to be anonymous. Anonymous is an idea. By thinking freely, you are anonymous. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.